Hello, everyone. Welcome to week number 45 of my 52-week challenge to do a live stream every single week on LinkedIn. I'm glad to have Florence Kasuga here. We were supposed to have our live stream back in June, but we had to reschedule it, and we're finally able to talk right now. So, Florence, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, Stephen. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Yeah, glad you're here. So our topic today is going to be about mental health and LinkedIn community. We all went through the pandemic. We all have a lot of stresses and challenges in our life. So I'm really interested to dig deeper into mental health, how to treat it, how to help others with it. But before we do that, Florence, do you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, everyone, for having me. My name is Florence Kasuga. I am your friendly Chief Happiness Officer. My motto is: if there's enough negativity in this world, if there's something I can do to make it a bit brighter, I will. So as you can tell from the sort of headings there, I'm also a relationship builder. I really love networking, hence how Stephen and I um, got involved with one another, and a networking coach as well. Networking for me comes kind of hand in hand and it comes easy to me, but that might not be the case for everyone. So I'm here to help you out. So in addition to coaching, I do consulting because human resources is one of my educational backgrounds. And I'm also an inspirational speaker in regards to my road to recovery for mental health.
Great. Thank you for sharing, Florence. And at the end, I'll put some of your links up here so people can connect with you. And I really like what you said about if there's any negative, if there's anything that's negative, you try to spin it to the positive. And that's really been my mindset over the last year and a half, almost 2 years with the pandemic. Just, yeah, it's tough, shelter in place, being at home, not being able to go out, see friends. But in the positive light, hey, I still have running water and electricity. I still get to work from home. I don't have to go out and face any of the the face COVID
Challenges.
or anything out there. So
Yeah.
that really just makes me feel a lot better. Just looking things at a positive light, and it just really changes your mindset.
Yeah, and you hit the nail right on the head. It's mindset. And that's such a key word to keep in mind because if you end up having a negative mindset, you're only going to see the negativity in
Mhm.
everything, right? And so if you put that positive spin and you see that silver lining, that gets you so much more further than thinking the negative.
Yeah, exactly. Before we get into our topic here, I want to highlight a couple comments here. I want to say hi to Philip. Philip's been supporting my live stream since we connected earlier this year, and I actually have Philip coming up in 2 weeks, so I'm excited for that. And I just want to say hi to Earl as well. Thank you for commenting and supporting us here. So now let's talk about our first topic here. Why should we be open about mental health? Why should we just have open discussions about it, Florence?
So we all know there's stigma around mental health. And so if we start talking about the topic and if we start talking about the topic and getting rid of that stigma, then we'll all be better off. For example, in the workplace, for example, I know my employer, they know about my mental illness. I know that's a tricky subject for a lot of people, but on my end, I am open about my mental health. My employer has been very welcoming about my mental health and our understanding. And so we need to be more open about mental health because that is such a topic with everyone. Like there's the stat of 1 in 5 Canadians suffer from mental health.
Mhm.
So when you imagine how many people there are in the world, 1 in 5 is a really open ratio, right? And it's a really big ratio. And so we just have to get rid of that stigma. And by normalizing mental health, like, I mean, a lot of people normalize physical health, meaning like if you break an arm, everybody says, "Oh, I'm so sorry that you broke your arm. I hope you get better really fast." But in mental health, your problems are inside your head. And so it's not visible, right? And so if we can just normalize the topic of mental health, that goes a long way.
Yeah, that's a great point. And if you say 1 in 5, I mean, there's someone on your team, statistic wise, there's someone on your team that's dealing with it. And you brought up a good point. It's invisible, right? You can't see it like a broken arm, like you said. And it's you have all these, you're going through all these different mental health challenges internally in your head, and people don't see it. And it affects your behavior at work, right? Maybe you're not as productive. Maybe you're not as engaged as other people. But someone who looks at you, they might not see that, and I think that's why it's important to open up. And you said you're pretty open up about it at work. How was that embraced? Were people open to it, or other people were just like, no, I don't need to know about your feelings? How did everyone sort of approach that situation?
Mhm. So it wasn't also just my current employer. It's actually been all my employers. So what ends up happening is I just kind of bring it up in conversation. As you mentioned, I'm an open book, so I'm really open about my mental health, and so I do end up disclosing to friends that I've made at work, and they're very supportive because your work family is just that, your work family. You spend so many hours in the day with them. Why wouldn't they know a side of you, right? And then let's just say you're having a challenging day at work. It goes a long way to explaining why you're feeling that way because maybe you're having some mental health thoughts, right?
Yeah, especially, and like you said, you used the right words there. Your work family is it's like a family, right? They have your best interest in mind. They care. We care about each other as a work family. So it's great to be open about those things. And again, it's just with mental health, you can't see it, and if you're the more open you are about it, the more awareness there is, and then other
Exactly.
people can actually I guess if someone is more open about it, they're more willing to share as well because you create this sense of community where people can just be open and share how they're
Right.
feeling, and if someone needs help, someone needs some time off, or maybe they just need to approach us, or maybe they have to change their way to approach a certain situation. People are more understanding of that. It just creates a much more effective working environment.
Yeah, it actually brings up an example. So I ended up making a friend years ago, and we were talking, and we actually got into the topic of mental health. I don't know how it came about, but we did. And she disclosed to me that her sister has mental health issues, and I said, "Yeah, I have schizoaffective disorder." And the one comment she made to me was, "What do you mean you can't have it?" So there again, it just means, like, what does that mean? Like, you can't mold somebody. You can't have a picture perfect person of who exhibits mental health, right? And so right there, that example shows you that you just need to start talking because you never know who else is suffering the same thing, right?
Yep, exactly. And I think that just applies to anything, right? As we're more open in the workplace, we talk, we're talking about mental health. There's a big, movement about, LGBT openness. And there's all these different openness, and it's just good because people can be their true self at work, and they don't have to hide any part of themselves.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That mental health for me has been in my life since I was a teen. I had
Mhm.
situational depression when I was 17, and I was diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder in my late 20s. So it's been a part of my life for 30 plus years. And so who wouldn't want to know that side of me that's such a big part of me,
Mhm.
right?
That's an excellent point, right? It's exactly as you said. It's a big part of who you are, and people who are close to you, who work close to you, who are close to you as a friend, they need to know who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah. I just want to highlight a few comments here, saying hello to Israel here, and then saying hello to Danny. Danny's going to be one of my live streams at the end of the year here as I wrap up my 52-week challenge. Happy Friday to you, June. Thank you for hopping in, always supporting my content.
Yes,
And yeah,
happy Friday.
absolutely. This is why I was excited to have Florence on. I wanted to have this conversation earlier in the year, but glad to have Florence on now. Just being open about mental health and bringing awareness to this. So
It's amazing that you
uh,
have your community on board with you.
yeah, that's thank you for being part of it as well. And then Philip says, yeah, mental health needs to be discussed more, and we just talked about that. And employers have to create that safe space, right, where everyone's comfortable to be heard and to share as well. All right, let's move on to our next topic here. And like to hear from your experience. How can we take care of our mental health? Right, some people they keep it within themselves. They don't want to share. They don't want to. We face that stigma. We don't want to we don't want to put our burdens on other people. But how should we take care of our mental health?
Right. So I have many years of experience of how to take care of my mental health because over the years I've had to find something that worked for me. And so I'm a really big believer in talk therapy in the sense of talking about what's in your mind. I know for me, what got me in trouble is that I kept everything inside until it blew up. And so, like I said, talking is my number one. So just speaking out. Number two, for me, and again, I'm not like a medical professional, but for me, my medicine has been really helpful for me because it balances me out. And also, having a strong support system, whether that means your family and friends, but also your medical professionals. So I have seen a psychiatrist, my occupational therapist. So I'm going to shout her out. Her name's Suzanne. She is lovely and awesome, and she's been with me for so many years. So honestly, those things are kind of like my baseline. But also what I do for myself is I actually have a lot of routine in my daily life. And so that includes journaling, that includes meditation, that includes reading as well. So for me, I like structure. And so I had to keep those things in check. And so like those are part of my daily routine that keeps me kind of in check.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And we mentioned this in the first few minutes. It's important to talk things out, to share with others, because as you said, you keep it bottled in, and it doesn't matter what type of mental health challenges you're going through, or even if you don't feel like you're going through mental health. If you have a lot of stress in your life, it's going to blow up. It's going to explode
Exactly.
sometime in the future, and it's not gonna. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly when that all comes out. And I
Most
really like what you
definitely.
said about having that routine, right? So these things help you. Journaling, you writing out your thoughts, right? What am I thinking? How am I feeling? Do
Hmm.
I feel better than yesterday? How am I going to change tomorrow? And then also meditation. I think just
The
calming your
mind.
mind, and just having that peaceful moment really helps as well. I think I posted a video about this a few weeks ago about how I deal with stress, and it's just you have to look at it um, from with a different mindset, right? It's temporary. Sometimes you just got to remove yourself from the situation. If talking to a certain person stresses you out, if working on a certain thing stresses you out, take a break from it. Why push yourself even more than you need to go through all that?
Yeah, and in my 40s now, I've realized I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and I'm okay with that. I remember having paid so much attention to what people were thinking about me that just that was just not the good route, right? And so, like I said, I've grown in my age, and I realize, you know what, I am the person that I spend the most time with. And so, again, taking care of your mental health, the thoughts that run through your mind, wouldn't you want to fill your mind with all positive thoughts and positive affirmations and mantras, as opposed to, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do that. Those thoughts are going to replay in your mind so much, and then they're just going to take you down.
I really like what you just said. You spend the most time with yourself, right? So spend that time with yourself, understand what you're going through, and you mentioned something else that was exactly right. Spend time and energy with the people that are part of your support system.
Yeah,
If
for
someone's
sure.
draining your energy, someone's negative, someone is putting you down and not supporting you, it's just
Why
it's
be
just a bunch
around
of
that?
negativity. Why
Right.
spend all that time and effort with them trying to change who they are, and they're trying to change you? It just doesn't work out at the end.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on to our next topic here. So we talked about why we should be open about mental health, how to take care of our own mental health. How can we help others with their mental health? What have people done to you, or approach certain situations with you? How has that been effective in the past?
Yeah, well, I've touched on it, having that support system behind you, right? So, you and I have not met in person. However, I consider you a friend, and I know I can talk to you about what's going on in my mind. And so, to tell your audience, the reason it didn't work out in June for us to originally talk was because I was going through a lot of things personally. And so, you, of course, understood where I was coming from. And here we are now, months later, uh, discussing this important topic. But most definitely, to help others with their mental health, just be there as a support system for somebody, right? And it doesn't have to be giving them the answers right away. It could be just lending that supportive ear, right? And sometimes you don't have to say anything. Maybe just somebody just needs to vent, and they just need somebody to listen to their thoughts, and just being there for somebody. So I'm a big believer in just supporting somebody, about how to help for their mental health, for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a great point. And it doesn't really take that much effort. It's just, yes, I understand you're going through some challenges. I'm just replaying our conversation back earlier the year. I understand you're going through some challenges. It's perfectly fine. Go take the time you need to go through whatever you're going through, and we'll reschedule. And now we're here. And it didn't take any work from my end. It's just okay. That's fine. I still can have my live stream. I can talk about different topics as well. What are some questions that someone who's not too familiar with mental health, what are some questions someone can ask to someone who's dealing with mental health challenges? What are some questions to ask just to check in on someone, or maybe
Yeah.
just open up that conversation?
Yeah, and so I know this is a lot of this is a question a lot of people use, and they kind of say, "Tell me how you're feeling on a scale of 1 to 5, or even 1 to 10." Right? So let's just say, for example, somebody says, "I'm a 6." I'm like, "What do you think I can do to help you make that a higher number? Say like 8, 9, 10, or why are you saying that you're a 6? Like, what's going on?" Right? But just opening that conversation and opening that door for somebody to talk to you is the most important thing, right? But yeah, a lot of people use the rating scale. A lot of people end up asking me to. A lot of people that know me and my mental health thoughts are like, what's your trigger kind of thing? Because for me, I have triggers that make me think some
Mm.
of my mental health thoughts, and so if somebody just asks me, what was triggering to you, and then I end up saying it's because of, say, for example, I'm in a new situation, or it's a stressful situation that I'm in, and then that person ends up walking me through and talking me through some things, and so that's been super helpful.
Yeah, and I think a key point here, you just don't ask. I don't want to use the word probing, but you want to dig a little deeper and figure out understand the situation, right? And I think a lot of us, just because we're so busy, and especially in the social media world, where how are you doing? Oh, I'm doing good, or I'm doing
I
fine,
know,
and
I
there's no
know.
there's no follow up, right? So I really like your idea with the scale, because no matter what the response is, if it's a 10, you can say, why are you feeling like
Yeah,
a 10
why are
today?
you a 10?
Or
Tell me why you're a 10. Maybe
yeah,
maybe that'll rub off on me, and I'll be a 10 soon.
yeah, exactly. And if it's a low number, you can just say, "Hey, is there something you want to share? Is there something I can help
Exactly.
with?" And I just really like that, because it just opens up more of that conversation. And as we said earlier, people who are going through mental health challenges, they just sometimes just need to. They don't want to bottle it in. They want to share it and just let it out. And you can just be that listening ear to someone.
Yeah, when I was talking about journaling, for me, my journal is kind of like my dump journal. So I write down things that I've gone throughout the day because my memory is not the greatest, and so it'll give me a timestamp of what happened each day. But also, my dump journal is where I write out some of my thoughts. If you were to read some of my journal entries from years ago, you'd be like, Florence, what were you thinking? But I needed to write things out in order to just empty my mind so it's not occupying space in my brain.
Yeah, that's a great idea, because sometimes you just don't have a person to talk to, right? And it's you can't really just record a video and just talk to yourself. Well, maybe you can, I don't know, but yeah, that's a great way to just writing and journaling, just to get things out of your head. And,
Exactly.
mhm.
Do you journal, Stephen?
I don't journal, but I think my approach for things is, if I know I have a bunch of things I need to do, I need to write it out. So
Mm,
it's sort of like creating a to do list, and I can check things off, because
project manager in you.
yeah, exactly. So I write things out. It's like, okay, I have to do all these things, and then I plan it out in my head. And yeah, if I do task number one and number two, and then I get distracted, I forget what's after that. So it's good to
Right.
to write things out and plan things out. And yeah, no, it's definitely the project manager mindset here. All right, I just want to say hi to Sherry. Thank you for joining from Beverly Hills. I was actually in the LA area last weekend, so should have stopped by and said hi. All right, so now to our final topic here about LinkedIn community. I just want to put this question out here. How has the LinkedIn community helped us? So, Florence, do you want to go first?
Right. So I've said this before in other people's podcasts. There's been like sort of a flip in the LinkedIn platform in the sense of very business, business, business when I first joined LinkedIn. And then something flipped and we started to be more human and we started to be more talkative about various amounts of topics. Don't really see, cat pictures or dog pictures, which is fine, but now we've talked about more life topics, right? And how they're affecting our professional lives. And so mental health and professional life go hand in hand, right? One affects the other. And so how has the community helped me? Honestly, they've been so welcoming, and we connected on LinkedIn first, right? And now we have a friendship after that. And so I've met a lot of great people over my years on LinkedIn. I've built a really great community, and there's a lot of resources in the LinkedIn community. And so if I have a question, there's probably somebody in my network that can help me out, whether it's about a topic that I have, or maybe mental health, right? Because there's a lot of people on mental health in my network as well. And so they've been so welcoming. And honestly, people are so accessible in their DMs, you included. And so I've been so thankful of the people that are in my network for sure and in the community.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I love this topic because I love the LinkedIn community. Everyone is so supportive. You see all these different comments here. They're all great friends at this point on LinkedIn. We support each other's content. We support each other's content. We help each other out. We refer each other to different types of clients.
Yes.
I hopped on a bunch of different LinkedIn lives earlier in the year when they say, "Hey, my guest had a cancel, or are you willing to do a LinkedIn live in a couple days?" Yeah, absolutely. So it's just learning a lot from everyone, just creating a bunch of friendships, a bunch of
Yeah.
relationships, and these are things that I'm going to carry for the rest of my life. All these different friendships and relationships.
And you had 52 plus people that you can talk to on LinkedIn Lives every Friday. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, it's amazing. Just with this 52-week challenge, I think what we our initial one was going to be in June, but I had so many people lined up that I said, "Hey, Florence, I can't fit you in until November," and here we are. And
Steven's the greatest host, the hot host, and so everybody wanted to be on your live. So I saw the next available in November. I said, Steven, I'm going to book that.
yeah, yeah, I appreciate it. And yeah, when I started this 52-week challenge, I had guests or automatically signed up to June, right? And then people started
You
hearing
did.
about it, and they said, "Oh, can I join?" I'm like, yeah, here you can sign up here. And I just signed someone up for February of next year because that's my next open
Awesome.
spot. So I don't know how long I'll be doing these LinkedIn lives. I guess I'll keep calling it 52-week challenge as I continue through next year. But I'm doing it as long as I still have guests and we have topics to talk about.
Amazing. I have no doubt that you'll go for a long time.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it and appreciate your support as well. Wanted to highlight a comment here from Sherry. Most people think being a 10 is based on looks, but it's based on a lot of things here: intelligence, motivation, listening, encouraging, kindness, and love. So, you know, I think we talked about this earlier. We were talking about people with negative energy bringing you down, and we spend the most time with ourselves, right? So encourage yourself, right? See yourself
Exactly.
as a 10, right? Yeah, you may not look the greatest, but there's different ways you can make yourself feel a lot better in terms of all these different things that Sherry mentioned here.
To go off on a tangent off Sherry's comments, sometimes I've even said I'm an 11 and a 12. One time I think I even said 13 out of 10.
Must have been a great day for you.
For sure.
So any final things you want to bring up before we wrap up here, Florence? Anything you want to talk about mental health or LinkedIn?
Yeah, I just want to say having the conversation is so important. So, hopefully conversation about mental health doesn't stop here, but it, just encourages everybody to just get out there and start talking, start normalizing it. I'm a big believer in normalizing it and getting rid of the stigma of mental health. So opportunities like this, whenever I have opportunities to talk about my road to recovery of mental health, I take them. And so again, thank you so much, Stephen, for having me on.
Yeah, no, thanks for you to being here. All right, you're definitely have a lot of experience in this. You're very open about your mental health. So there's no one better to speak about this topic here. And Rod's gonna echo what I just said. It's an awesome topic to talk about. Before we wrap up here, I wanted to put Florence's LinkedIn. Make sure you connect with her here. And I just want to give you the last couple minutes for you to make a plug, Florence. Is how can you help others? What do you need help with? What do you have coming up that you want to share?
Awesome. Yeah. So, in addition to being on LinkedIn, I'm also on Instagram at the Florence Kasuga, and I actually do Wednesday lives. So I used to do Friday lives and called them Feature Friday Face, but I've kind of moved the platform to a Wednesday, and I call it What's Up Wednesday. So maybe Stephen, you could be a guest on my Instagram live one day. And so I actually talk about people in my network, and I introduce them to the audience, and I let them have the floor and let them say what they're up to. So What's Up Wednesday. And so I basically follow the 5 W's: who you are, what do you do, when did you start what you do, why do you do what you do, and where can people find you. And so I follow that sort of format, and people and I just chat for a half-hour chat like this.
Oh, that's great. So make sure to follow Florence on Instagram as well. I just sent her. I just followed her I just said follow request. This is not LinkedIn. You can just follow people on Instagram. But I just followed her as well. And yeah, let me know when your next available spot is,
Of
and
course.
I'll be happy to hop in and hop on an Instagram live with you as well.
Amazing.
Great. Anything else you wanna share, Florence, before we wrap up here?
No, just honestly, everyone. I always say to people, and I end this usually when I do my talks, and I say, you only have one fabulous life. Don't waste it doing something you don't love.
Oh, I love that. So this is why I'm doing LinkedIn Live. This is why I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, building relationships, talking to people, supporting each other, and I really like what you said there. So make your life fabulous. That's the only one. It's the only life you have. So, yeah. Thank you, Florence. Thank you so much for being a guest here. Thank you, everyone, for commenting and supporting us as well. And this is week 45, so I got 6 or 7 left, or I got 7 left after this one. So I'm looking to wrap up the 52-week challenge. Well, I guess I'm going on to next year as well. So just major takeaways here with mental health. Be open to it, right? It's not a stigma. Just be that listening ear to people sometimes. Ask that question. How are you feeling today from a scale of 1 to 10? Why do you feel that way? And that's just a great way to have that conversation with people and really brighten up that situation, make it into a positive.
Awesome.
So thank you, everyone, and talk to you all next week.